Welcome back, welcome back. So, on day 15, I decided to look into my old levels, as I made them ages ago and wanted to see what was what. There were a few things that I liked, and there were a few things that I didn't like. But for now, I wanted to focus on the dialogue that was already inside of the game. You see, the current dialogue system isn't really a dialogue system at all. I played an animation whenever the player walked into an area of 3D. That would then trigger this animation to play, which is just a 2D overlay over the entire screen. And it kind of worked. You know what? It does look quite good. It's just not sustainable. I have to manually put everything in, and it would take ages to do that for less meaningful dialogue, and the player might not be able to read because it runs too quickly. So I decided I wanted to overhaul the dialogue system and make it something, you know, better, like you would find in Oblivion or Skyrim, you know, something to that effect. And I did. I found this amazing tutorial that taught me how to use a JSON file to put all of the dialogue that I wanted and how I wanted that to be triggered, which works fantastically. But the tutorial I used was for a 2D game, and my game is a 3D game. So I just had to change what kind of nodes were talking to each other. So instead of a 2D area node, it would be a 3D area node, and I had just had to define where that position was. So overall, it wasn't really too tricky to modify what he used for his 2D game to put it into my 3D game. Although he wanted the time to stop when conversations were started, and I didn't want that. I wanted the game time to still continue, so all I did was disable these 2 lines of code, and it works beautifully. So now I can apply dialogue to anything I choose. For example, I could add it to an NPC, I could add it to a door, I could virtually add it to anything the player can come into contact with physically. This saves me a ton of time because I don't really want to manually make a new node and then connect that node up, and that would just take, you know, infinite amount of time, which is what I was doing for some of these things in the past. But now I found a much easier way, which is to make that its own scene and then import it into the world. So overall, very happy with it. Day 16. So the flying enemy I made for my game was feeling a bit lifeless. I know he's a skull. That was not an intended joke. That's what it says in the script. That is so funny. But anyway, the flying skull felt very lifeless. So I added ambient screams to the skull, and that made it 100 times more immersive. So now you'll be walking along, being like, oh, no skulls around me, but then in the distance you hear, ah. You'll know exactly where that skull is. So if a skull's over there, you'll hear it from over there. If a skull's over there, you'll hear it from over there. It's great. I wanted to add this because I found myself dying to the skulls in bullshit ways. For example, you'll be walking along, and then you've just died. You're like, where the hell was that skull? And you go, oh, it was above me, and I had no idea it was there. So adding this sound effect was kind of very much necessary. Now, this enemy feels a lot more fair, and that's one thing that players want. They want a fair game, and if they do die, they want to go, oh, it's because I didn't roll fast enough, or it's because I didn't jump at the certain time that I needed to. And with the addition of sound, it makes it feel more alive and more of a threat, and more fair for the player's gameplay experience. So overall, brilliant. I also tried to add the enemy to the endless mode, but there was a little problem. The enemy spawner doesn't know the difference between ground enemies and flying enemies. Why is this even a problem? Well, the flying enemies, they would only spawn on the ground level. Adding the flying enemy works, but it doesn't look great. So I'll have to add some separate code to put flying enemies on different spawn positions. So I have a range of positions where the enemies can spawn, and none of them change the Y level. Because if I do, the ground enemies will start to be on different axes and look like they're flying, and obviously I don't want that to happen. Obviously that's going to take a while for me to fix, but I'll figure it out eventually. Day 17. I took a look at my old sprites and realized they didn't fit into the art style of the world anymore. So I took them out of my game. But I needed to add new ones. So I started off by giving Dover a makeover, and let me just say, she looks smoking. Sorry, Millie. You may have noticed that the sprite will now turn and face you when you move around. That's because I enabled something called Y billboarding. And it's what I did for the enemies ages ago, but I forgot to apply it to my NPCs. And the way to add it is literally by pressing this box, and it just adds it beautifully. Like, makes the game look a million times better. So, any indie game devs out there that want to use it and get this kind of look, just press that. I also made Dover her own scene, and this is what I'm going to do with NPCs going forward, as it's like a million times quicker than making your own version of that sprite again and again and getting the dimensions right, so this saves so much time. I really should have done that ages ago. On day 18, I added equip slots that would accept only equipable item data. In this case, the equipable item data are rings. Although you can put these rings in the ring slots, I'm trying to figure out how to add the effects to the player when the ring is equipped. Because right now, the function that handles that is being called when I right-click on the ring in the inventory. So the ring effects do get applied, it's just not being applied automatically. And I need to do some wizard code to figure out how to do that. Anyway, let me tell you how this ring works, because inside of the tutorial that I was using, it didn't tell me how to add the functionality for equipped items. I kind of had to figure out how to do that by myself, which is fine, because I finally got it to work. And let me just show you how this works, because it took me a while, and I'm very proud of myself. This ring is exporting an integer called mana affinity, and this mana affinity gets added to the mana regen rate inside of the player script. This means if the integer is positive, it will increase your mana regen, and if it's negative, it will decrease your mana regen. And if your mana affinity is so negative and puts your mana regen rate in the negative, you will no longer regen mana. In fact, your mana will constantly be drained, which is pretty cool. I like that. That might be a gameplay feature. I don't know. So yay, equipment kinda works. Slowly, slowly catch a monkey. Day 19. Day 19 was another day drawing with Millie. I gotta be honest, I didn't draw a lot, but what I did draw was pretty damn cool. I drew a spider, I drew a fly, I drew a wolf loosely based off the Wolfman from Darkwood. Don't worry, my game is not going to be all in the head, because that has been overdone to about oblivion. Millie drew Shaggy and Scooby-Doo in her notebook, so I was like, let me show you how it's done, and I drew these two bad boys, two of my favourite Shaggy still frames. I'm not really sure that the upside down head one is one, but anyway. So yeah, that's all I really did on day 19. I'm taking like a day off from looking at code every week, because if you look at code for long enough, it will eventually look back at you. Day 20. I wanted to get some photos of my rings so that I could make sprites of them. I used this little gimbally thing to hold my rings in the right orientation, and I'm gonna be honest, I did kind of screw this up. My webcam was it had like some gamer gunk on it, and it doesn't have a high enough resolution to get the kind of photos that I wanted. So I was like, oh, I've already gotten this far with it, let's just see how it turns out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to redo that sprite, because right now it looks like he's just stubbed his toe and he's going, ah! So yeah, I'll do that on day 21. Day 21. I made 3 ring sprites, the skull ring, the snake skull ring, and the cobra ring. Look at them.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
The skull ring will increase your mana affinity, the snake ring will decrease your mana affinity, but slightly increase your jump height, and the cobra ring will flat out increase your movement speed. I may go back and flat out change what these rings do, but for now, when the update goes live, that's what they'll do. Just before I let you go, I have something very special I want to show you. But first, let me just thank my Patreons. Thank you, Bambolina. And thank you, Fabia. I thought you cancelled your subscription. Okay, bye. And thank you, all my $1 Patreons. Thank you, thank you, thank you. While I was messing around on the internet, I made something absolutely epic. This AI will make a full song for you based on a prompt. And my prompt was, make me a dramatic operatic song about a Tower of Lies. Please enjoy.
In a tower built by shadows tall, I hear whispers in each echoed hall. Promises carved in fragile stone, truths unspoken, hearts alone. Brick by brick the fables rise, twisting tales ignite the skies. In this fortress mass disguise, beneath the surface trust in lies. Tower of lies crumble down, shadows dance on hollow ground. Watch it fall, kill the sound, beneath the surface trusty minds. Tower of lies crumble down, shadows dance on hollow ground. Watch it fall, kill the sound. Truth will rise when the lies are drowned. In the mirror of the night I see reflections of what used to be. A web of words, a tangled spree, deceitful eyes staring back at me. But as the moonlight breaks the dark, pierces through this